Hello, everybody. My name is Ryan Koki of the Seahawk Recap Show, and welcome to another Seahawk Game Recap video. This time it's Week 13 Jets versus Seahawks, and oh man, that was a game, wasn't it? A very close and sloppy game from both teams, it looked like. And man, one word to describe this game, the Seahawks escape with the win, in my opinion. It's down to being a defensive game, and that's just what happened. The Seahawks now win three in a row, and it's a good win. I'll take a win, but that was very chaotic. Without me rambling on too much more in the intro, let's get into recapping this Week 13 matchup between the Jets and the Seahawks. So, game summary, the Seahawks win 26 to the Jets 21. And let's start off with the New York Jets because they were the home team. They had a total of 258 total yards. They had 169 passing yards, 89 rushing yards, averaged 4.1 yards per play, had 17 first downs. They went 5 for 13 on third down, went 1 for 3 on fourth down, had 63 total plays, 2 sacks allowed, 4 punts, 12 penalties for 83 yards given up, 1 fumble lost, and 1 interception thrown by Aaron Rodgers in the second quarter of this game that gave Leonard Williams a big man pick six. And the Jets ended the day off 28 minutes and 39 seconds of possession time. For the Seattle Seahawks, they ended the day with 259 total yards, 175 yards passing, 84 yards rushing, had 4.5 yards per play, 16 first downs. They went 4 for 13 on third down, went 1 for 2 on fourth down, had 58 total plays, 3 sacks allowed, 3 punts, 5 penalties for 50 yards given up, 2 fumbles lost, 0 interceptions thrown, and the Seahawks ended the day with 31 minutes and 21 seconds of possession time. For Ryan's focus players, let's get to the New York Jets and Aaron Rodgers. 21 for 39, 185 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception by Leonard Williams, like I had talked about. And Aaron Rodgers, he had some really good moments in this game. And it came down to the wire. Like this game came down to 5 points. There was still a chance that the Jets were going to win this game. And I don't think Aaron Rodgers really did completely bad. Some of his decision making, some of his deep shots, yeah, maybe he's not having the best season. He's having issues, but he did a lot of like vintage Aaron Rodgers things. Some of his passes to Devontae Adams were really good. The way he was controlling things was really good. It was just the team dynamic around him on offense was a little bit shaky, and that's what led him to have this kind of stat line. So I think it was like overall a decent game from Aaron Rodgers. Let's get to Breece Hall and let's talk about his 12 carries for 60 yards, 5 yards per carry, and no touchdowns. And he did have a fumble in this game, but I want to talk about Breece Hall in the sense that him on the perimeter, like especially when he's getting involved with this New York Jets team, the Seahawks really couldn't stop him on the perimeter when they were getting those outside handoffs to Breece Hall. He was dashing them pretty good. Breece Hall is such a monster when he gets to the outside because he's not only so patient, but he's also just a good running back. So overall, I think Breece Hall, despite his fumble, had a good stat line and a good game overall. Let's get to wide receiver Devontae Adams, and of course, I'm highlighting him with his 5 receptions for 66 yards, averaged 13.2 yards per reception, had the 1 touchdown from Aaron Rodgers on their second drive of the game in the first quarter, and that was vintage Aaron Rodgers. Devontae Adams, whenever he was lined up against Josh Jobe, he was making Josh Jobe look silly. And Josh Jobe has earned a spot on this roster. But when you're dealing with Garrett Wilson and you're dealing with Devontae Adams and you're dealing with a bunch of these weapons that Aaron Rodgers has at his disposal, maybe putting Josh Jobs, who is a practice squad guy, on one of the most elusive routers in the league in Devontae Adams, he's still a really good player. So maybe you don't want to take him lightly, and that's why they made the adjustment in the second half. But Devontae Adams really had a good game today. Let's get to the Jets defense, and let's get to D lineman Will McDonald, 2 solo tackles, 0 assisted, the 2 sacks, no forced fumbles. But Will McDonald, in the second half of this game, the fourth quarter, he got back to back sacks, basically, on one of the most important drives for the Seahawks. And Will McDonald and this entire defensive front for the Jets specifically, they're a very good group. They've got Will McDonald, they got Clements, and they've got Quentin Williams and Javon Kinlaw as their 5 guys up front. So that's a very scary group when it comes to having the beef. And they pushed the offensive line of the Seahawks around a little bit when it came to this game, especially in that first half. They were in control, making stops and making sure that the Seahawks offense was having a terrible time. So good job from this Jets D line. Let's get to the secondary. And who else am I going to talk about on this secondary? Let's talk about cornerback Sauce Gardner. 3 solo tackles, 0 assisted, 0 sacks, 0 interceptions. But I want to talk about Sauce Gardner, not because of his stats, but because of his role on this team. And that was to limit DK Metcalf's catches and limit DK Metcalf as a whole. So when DK Metcalf was lined up with Sauce Gardner as his matchup partner, it was a lot harder for DK to try to come down with catches. And that's because Sauce Gardner is a really aggressive corner. He's able to match the aggressiveness of DK Metcalf. So he had a really good game, in my opinion. Not much to say about Sauce Gardner. It was really nice to see him match up against DK Metcalf because those two going at it is just really fun to watch. Let's get to linebacker and let's get to Quincy Williams, one of the major linebackers in this Jets secondary. 4 solo tackles, 3 assisted, the 1 sack, no interceptions. But Quincy Williams, he was getting off there on the edge against Gino. He beat up Charles Cross at one point to get that sack. And Quincy Williams is one of the guys on this team that's just there to disrupt things, make sure that the run game for opposing offenses can't get going. And that's what happened with Kenneth Walker. You saw Kenneth Walker getting, kind of tackled in the backfield a lot this game because of the protection. And part of that is because of Quincy Williams being able to push and try and tackle one of the most elusive running backs that the Seahawks have in their arsenal. So good game from Quincy Williams out on the field today. Let's get to the Seahawks and let's get to Geno Smith, 20 for 31, 206 passing yards, 1 touchdown to AJ Barner in the second quarter of this game, 0 interceptions. And Geno Smith coming into MetLife. This is his first time in MetLife Stadium, coming out with the win. And Geno Smith in this game, he again game managed this game. It's very difficult to come into MetLife, and he was very shaken. Kind of going on the road to an East Coast team for the Seahawks is not always the greatest for them. They don't really wake up until maybe that second half. But Geno Smith had just to game manage, and he did exactly that. Taking care of the ball, making sure that he wasn't throwing interceptions. Now, he did take a little long when he had protection, and that's what led to Will McDonald getting his 2 sacks. That's what led to Quincy Williams getting his sack as well. So just a little bit of holding onto the ball, a little too long, but overall, I think Geno Smith had a decent game, leading the Seahawks to the victory. And let's get to running back Zach Charbonnet, 4 carries for 20 yards, average 7 yards per carry, the 1 touchdown. And the reason why I'm highlighting Zach Charbonnet and not Kenneth Walker is due to the fact that Zach Charbonnet's touchdown was the literal important touchdown. That was the go ahead score. These two teams on offense could not score against one another. It was 21-19 until the fourth quarter, and it was 5 minutes. It was 5 minutes in the fourth quarter, and Zach Charbonnet finally breaks through. Someone had to break through and get another touchdown on the board and take the lead, and that was Zach Charbonnet. He had a really good game today. With his limited amount of carries, it's nice to see that he can, bring that power and that intensity to get that touchdown. That was the go-ahead touchdown for the Seahawks today. So good game from him. Let's get to wide receiver DK Metcalf, 4 receptions, 66 yards, averaged 16.5 yards per reception, 0 touchdowns. And the reason why I wanted to highlight DK Metcalf instead of Jackson Smith and Jigba was due to the fact that I wanted to talk about the matchup between Sauce Gardner and DK Metcalf a little more. DK Metcalf has most of his catches and yards because he was the deep threat. When he was given the chance to get off of Sauce Gardner's protection detail, he was lighting it up, and he made some very big catches. DJ Reed was one of the catches where I can't remember what quarter it was in, but I believe it was in the third where he caught it for 28 yards or something like that, and he just dunked on DJ Reed, who was 5'9" at the corner position. And that's what happens when DK Metcalf is just able to do what he needs to do to get those kind of big catches. You need a big catch, you're going to DK Metcalf. So good game from DK Metcalf. Let's get to the Seahawks defense and the lifeblood of this game. It was fantastic. That whole second half, the reason why the Seahawks won this game was because of the defense. Let's get to D lineman Leonard Williams. Have a day. 3 solo tackles, 1 assisted, 2 sacks, 1 interception, 1 touchdown. In his 10-year career, he has finally gotten a touchdown in the NFL for a D lineman defensive end. 92 yards. Man, what a game from Leonard Williams. Former first-round pick of the New York Jets. 2015 was when he was drafted. Man, I love having him on this team. The whole D line really played well as well. Pressure all over the place, being able to, not get as many sacks as you'd like, but able to break through eventually in that second half and put up 6 drives without a touchdown to help lead the Seahawks to this win. So good game from Leonard Williams. Let's get to DB. Julian Love had a fantastic game from him as well. 6 solo tackles, 0 assisted, 0 sacks, 1 forced fumble. And that was the Breece Hall forced fumble. And that led to the Seahawks getting a field goal, which put them in great position to then go on and win the game. Julian Love was everywhere in this game. One thing that they did to get Julian Love involved was to help Josh Jobe a lot in this game over the top. You've got Garrett Wilson and you have Devontae Adams. Those are 2 scary wide receivers. So when Josh Jobe needed help with Devontae Adams, Julian Love was there to help him, and he had 2 pass deflections. He was making tackles that were crucial to stopping things, and he was crucial in the run game, again, against that Breece Hall fumble. So great game from Julian Love. Let's get to another guy that was crucial in this game, linebacker Ernest Jones the fourth. 6 solo tackles, 2 assisted, 0 sacks, 0 interceptions. But Ernest Jones, man, linebacker, signal caller for this defense. He played a fantastic game, just being able to be a tackling monster for the Seahawks, leading to some impressive tackles uh, going against Brees Hall and others. So he was very crucial to this game, and he's very helpful to this Seahawks linebacking core. So good game from him. Let's get to Ryan's final thoughts. What went well? The defense in the second half of this game was great, coming up with some big plays to help secure this win for the Seahawks today. 7-5 on the year feels great. And man, 6 consecutive drives in that second half to stop the Jets from driving down the field and winning this game. That is exactly what the Seahawks needed. When the offense isn't working, the Seahawks defense steps up, and that's what's happened over the past 3 games. Great game from this Seahawks team. Great to be 7-5 and building that momentum. 3 games in a row now with a win. Great to see it. What to improve on though? I understand that the Seahawks are a West Coast team, and when you're facing teams on the East Coast, it could lead to some sloppy play. And that's exactly what happened. The Seahawks, when they go for 10 a.m. Pacific time starts, they have issues. They kind of feel sleepwalking into those games, and that's why the Seahawks were down 14 to nothing back in the first quarter within like 2 minutes of each other. The special teams was just not there. Two muffed kickoff plays, 2 muffed kickoffs. One by LaVisca Chenault, where he's just not paying attention, and one by D Williams, just not paying attention as well. And that D Williams fumble that happened, it was punched out by Anton Davis, and it led to getting picked up by the Jets and them scoring to make it 14-0 in the first quarter. That's unacceptable. That cannot happen. This game was way too close for comfort. I'm glad the defense could step up and help the Seahawks win this game because, again, the Jets coming into it 3-8 on the season. I get they're coming off a bye week. I understand that. So they're going to have fresh legs. But that felt like a trap game. And if they had lost this game, the Seahawks, it would have been a disaster. And I would have just blown my lid and lost my mind. But glad they could win this out. My final thoughts. Overall, this game was just so chaotic. Penalties left and right for the Jets in that second half contributed to the Seahawks winning this game. There were, I believe it was 10 penalties, 10 penalties on the Jets. And it was the Jets' miscues in that second half that cost them this game. The Seahawks escape with a win and start to build a buffer for themselves in the NFC West. Great to see 7-5 record keep on building because the Cardinals lost today, and as of this recording, the Rams have not played yet. So we'll see what happens when it comes to the NFC West battle. For the Jets, though, this season has not gone well for you guys at all. You've fired Robert Saleh, you've fired Joe Douglas, and you're having a terrible time of it. But you guys honestly came out of the bye week, and this is what's known as a trap game. You guys went up super, super quick. You guys played a great game, only losing by a score, like five points is all it took in this entire game with the season, how you guys have been going with all the chaos surrounding this team. You guys kept it close and you guys played really hard. And your special teams unit was fantastic today, getting that 99-yard kickoff return touchdown from the running back, Keon Nwanga in the second quarter. That was insane. Like watching you guys on special teams, when I saw that play, I was just like, no way. Like I audibly said, no way that just happened because that just showed that the Jets caught the Seahawks lacking and sleeping on that kickoff return, and it turned into a big play. Good game from you guys. You kept it scrappy all the way to the end, and I think you guys could play spoiler down the stretch, because now you've got nothing to lose. Now you just get to play spoiler, which pressure is off for you guys. Anyways, guys, that is it for this game recap of Week 13, New York Jets versus your Seattle Seahawks. How are we feeling about this win? To me, it was a escape. Take your win and make sure you're better next week. I want to know your thoughts in the comment section down below. What did you think of this game? I hope to see you all in the next video for week 14. Let's see if the Seahawks can make it to 8-5 next week. It's going to be fun. Go Hawks, go. I will see you guys in the next video. Take care of yourselves. Have a good day.